In the United States, there's a poison pill, a literal poison pill that's distributed to kill off unborn babies named mifepristone. They call it the abortion pill. Some people do. And it was the centerpiece of a challenge that rose today, ultimately to a decision by the United States Supreme Court. It was mounted by a number of OBGYNs and emergency room doctors who said that the government's ever-relaxing standards for this poison pill being distributed has led to a number of threats to the women who actually ingest those pills. The FDA's relaxed safety standards have led some of these doctors, including in violation of their conscience, to complete a, quote, unfinished chemical abortion in the event of complications from the pill. All sorts of awful things going on here. But the United States Supreme Court today unanimously said that these doctors, well, they don't have standing. All of the justices said that. For more on this, I want to bring in Shawn Carney. He's the president and CEO of 40 Days for Life and joins us on the phone. Shawn, good to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Good to be on. Thanks for having me.
I just want to get your reaction, first and foremost, to the Supreme Court's decision today. All 9 justices saying these doctors don't have standing to bring this challenge. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's obviously disappointing. I think it was a legal technicality. There was something in there that obviously just didn't work, and they tossed it out. But we weren't even talking about this 5 years ago. I mean, the idea that we would not have a doctor involved, we would just mail abortion pills to somebody, but Planned Parenthood wasn't advocating that. Pro-abortion politicians weren't advocating that. The massive and dangerous deregulation of these pills is political. It's a direct response to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And that's why these doctors in Texas, these OBGYNs, I guess we used to listen to doctors when they said women are going to be in danger. But 25% of the women that take these pills go to the ER. So there is standing in that regard, but it's very disappointing, and I think it's a little surprising because this is obviously the court that overturned Roe, but I think it was bad in the legal sense.
Well, there's all sorts of categories for instance, painkillers where you have to go see a doctor in order to get a prescription before you can even get access to it, and so. Here you have a pill that actually kills a human being, and you're saying there's no in-person doctor requirement whatsoever for it.
Right, and that has proven complications. I mean, this isn't like, hey, it's rare, take it, nothing ever happens. I mean, the ER visits are through the roof. And
it's 25%? Is that what you said, 1 in 4?
Yeah, 25% of the largest study over a decade. And so that's a problem. And that's why these doctors, somebody shows up, and I know OBGYNs, this happens a lot. They take the first pill, they have complications, they go to the ER. And the guy who doesn't, or a woman who doesn't believe in abortion, who's the physician, has to deal with it and either violate their conscience or just deal with it in general. This is actually one of the reasons that abortion pill reversal has taken off with a lot of these physicians. Being able to reverse it once the first pill is taken, because that's the other thing. Women will regret it, or they'll regret it because of the complications. But it's a very odd thing that no one was advocating for 5 years ago, and now we're just supposed to think this is reasonable, that you can have no doctor involved and just take these pills, and any objection from the medical community is heresy.
How commonly are babies killed with this pill now, as it relates, as opposed to other forms of abortion?
They're now 56% of all abortions. It's a great question. So that is up from 20-25% 8 or 9 years ago. But certainly that has been the number on the rise to replace surgical abortions. Also, there's a huge abortion doctor shortage in the United States of America. The average age of an abortionist is like 72, because who in the world wants to do this? And also the younger doctors don't want to do it, even if they support it. A lot of them have a picture of their own ultrasound, and so they're not really wanting to go in and do abortions. So that's a problem. That's another reason Planned Parenthood really pushes.
Do abortionists, do they often come straight from OBGYNs as they become abortionists?
Oh, no. Internal medicine, they come from everywhere. And we have a former abortionist on our staff, and he said, I could teach you, the history major, he said, I could teach you to do an abortion in 30 minutes. And, it's one of those things where something went wrong, usually malpractice or a divorce or some kind of financial issue, and it's great cash. It's great cash. And so a lot of them travel, and they don't live in the town where they do abortions. Circuit riders, that's very, very common. That's most of the abortionists in our country. Very few let people know that they do this.
They don't tell others that they're doing it. They hide their profession from people.
It's not. It's not the talking point at the cocktail party with the other doctors.
It kind of really indicates that some acknowledgement of what's really going on, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, imagine if you're an oncologist, or you're an ER doctor, or you're an orthopedic surgeon, you say that with ease, probably proudly, hopefully, and this is the only surgery where you're not supposed to talk about the details of it.
I've never met a proctologist who's reticent to tell you that that's the stuff they deal with. I'm a proctologist. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, that's a real job.
And a further note, the medical schools are not full of people that say, I want to be the best abortionist in the history of America. But they are full of people who want to be the best cardiovascular surgeons and oncologists and other legitimate forms of healthcare.
Yeah.
So, the stigma is not created by the mean religious pro-life people. The stigma is created by the surgery itself. And that is played out in how the doctors live their life and operate.
Well, yeah. I mean, being responsible for death tends to change a person, I would say. I didn't realize though that it was a shortage. That's a pretty encouraging detail, because that suggests that awareness is absolutely growing about the atrocity that's being committed here.
100%. And Generation Z, who we rip on them a lot for a lot of reasons, but Generation Z is the most pro-life generation at their age than any previous generation ever. And the seniors this year, I know Jordan Peterson has been talking about this, the senior class of this year, 2024, is the most conservative senior class in the history of them keeping track with that, because they were freshmen during COVID. So they have this like anti-government kind of mistrust of government, which the hippies had because of Vietnam, and now it sort of flipped. They have it because of COVID. So it's interesting to see that. And all these kids now, they have a picture of their ultrasound, and they're much more pro-life than previous generations for being 18 years old.
That's a positive trend. So this Supreme Court decision today, as you point out, for legal reasons, doesn't continue. All 9 justices agreeing. By the way, that's not going to back off the left's appetite to destroy the conservative justices. But today, all nine justices agreeing that the doctors here don't have standing. I noticed Brett Kavanaugh, in his opinion today, pointed out that the standing doesn't work, but if you object to this abortion pill, you should take your concerns to your executive and legislative branches and seek what he calls greater regulatory or legislative restrictions on certain activities. In other words, Justice Kavanaugh is kind of offering a roadmap here for people who are concerned about all of this baby death being delivered by mail.
Which is great, and which Texas has done, and Missouri's done, and Alabama's done, and Tennessee has done, where you can't mail them in, you can't mail them out. And I know in Texas, civilly, we can sue the abortion doctor if he does it. So individual citizens, that's how we essentially ended abortion in Texas, was it became a civil issue if you found out somebody was doing abortion. So there's a lot you can do at the state level. And since Roe fell, 23 states have either banned or highly regulated abortion, and 7 states have passed pro-abortion laws. And so the feel in the media is that every state is dying to do abortions and the Supreme Court is evil. That's not the case at all. There were 23 states that had trigger laws that immediately became either abortion-free or almost abortion-free.
Mm-hmm. So Shawn Carney, today, I just talked to Congressman Pat Fallon a few minutes ago about this very subject. Today, President Trump was visiting with members of Congress, and he indicated that he's glad with the Dobbs decision. He's happy about it. He's said this a bunch of times, and that now this is an issue that is left to the states. Do you think that's the right battlefield for all of this?
I do right now. I think him flirting with doing a 15-week federal ban was so stupid that it's such a huge compromise after a historic event like the overturning of Roe. And like I mentioned, it's an insult to these 23 states, and it's like it would make us more pro-abortion than all of Europe. So I'm glad he got away from that. I think it's very smart. I think, he takes credit for everything in the world, and he wasn't taking enough credit for the overturning of Roe, and he's doing that. He is by far the most pro-life president ever. It's not even close, just on his record. And so I'm pro-life, and I don't trust Donald Trump. I trusted him from day one. I thought he would deliver on his promises. He did. And people saying that he's not going to be a pro-life president now is absurd. And nobody can predict what he's going to do tonight, much less in November after the election.
So your objection to the 15-week abortion ban proposal that Lindsey Graham was originally advancing and that President Trump, kind of toyed with a little, you thought it's too permissive. It's too radical, rather than wanting it as an incremental measure.
Absolutely, it was so stupid. That's something that the pro-abortion side should do after Roe. They should come and say, oh, my gosh, why don't we just do 15 weeks, because late-term abortions aren't that many. That needs to be their compromise, not ours. And so I thought it was a horrible thing. I thought it was horrible politically, too, because if the left wants abortions at 40 weeks and infanticide. They don't want to give medical care to a baby girl who survives an abortion.
Right.
So they're not going to be happy with a 39-week ban. But if Trump did a 39-week ban, it's still – Donald Trump overturned Roe. Now he has a federal abortion ban, and it would hurt him politically. And so I didn't like it, and I was glad that he stood up and got away from that. That's fantastic.
All right. Well, Shawn Carney, thank you for all of this. I really appreciate your analysis today. Shawn's the president and CEO of 40 Days for Life. Sir, good to have you with us on the program.